Last May, she created the Browser Act, but it's kind of been stuck in a subcommittee. Well, that is until Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg was invited to meet with a few senators to tell him how willing he was to share Facebook users' data freely, not to mention his own personal data.
Mr. Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
No.
That is one transparent guy, right? Well, to speak with us more about internet privacy and the blocking and manipulation of people's online thoughts and posts, would you welcome, by way of Satellite, Representative Marsha Blackburn. Congressman, thank you for joining us. You have been on this issue long before others realized how important it was. You introduced a piece of legislation called the Browser Act a year ago. Now is it getting some traction?
It is finally getting some traction, Governor, and thank you for the interest in it. We are really thrilled, and you're right. About 4 years ago, I co-chaired and worked on the Privacy Working Group in Congress, educating my Energy and Commerce Committee colleagues about privacy and maybe that we needed to begin to hold some of the social media providers accountable because they didn't have any privacy rules that they were abiding by. And of course, your bank, your broker, your credit union, your healthcare provider, all are required to protect your privacy, both in the physical space and in the virtual space. But we have all of these edge providers, as we call them, everyone that works through social media that have absolutely no requirements.
What you've just said, I think, is what a lot of consumers are not aware of, is that there's really no limitation to what they can do with the information we provide them.
Right.
And they can sell it. They obviously have. They made a lot of money from it. You had a chance to visit with Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook. How did that go?
I asked him specifically, who owns the virtual you and your presence online, your personal identifying information? And he punted on that. He didn't want to really say that it was exclusively yours. And we were surprised that he was really not crystal clear on the fact that your virtual presence is equal to your physical presence, and you have that right to privacy. We were also surprised that he was unfamiliar with the Browser Act and privacy information, privacy legislation, and the work that we've been doing in Congress.
You just found out on Friday that you'll be testifying before the Judiciary Committee next week because they now realize this is a big issue for all of America. When you appear before them, will you deal with not only privacy, but the role in which these social media companies have started censoring material that does not really fit a politically correct and mostly left-of-center agenda?
Absolutely, I will, and I'm looking forward to talking about both issues, your right to privacy in the online space and also your right to free speech. And what we do know is many of the social platforms are subjectively manipulating their algorithms, and then they're making a determination about their prioritization of content and also their censorship of contents. And I'm looking forward to next week's hearing and building a little bit more attention to this issue of censorship and also to what is happening to your privacy in the online space.
I'm not a big fan of regulation, but I'm wondering, are we at that point where that's where we're headed?
We would hope that we can keep regulation to a minimum, and here is why. Sometimes when an industry matures and it begins to grow, you have a few big players that will move forward in that industry. That is what we see happening with YouTube and Facebook and Google and Yahoo and Twitter. And what we would like to do is just have light touch legislation, things that give you the ability to opt in on your privacy. And that way you preserve entry for new entrants into that marketplace, and you preserve the ability to innovate for individuals who want to bring new delivery systems and new concepts to the marketplace. So we are going to approach this with light touch in the legislation, give you, the consumer, the opportunity to opt in on what you want shared, give you the opportunity to opt out of non-sensitive information, but there again, the tools will be in your toolbox and not the government bureaucrat's toolbox.
Well, obviously this shows that you have been way ahead of the game in predicting that it had to have some oversight, maybe not intense regulation. And I'm delighted that the Judiciary Committee is going to be taking up the Browser Act that you introduced, and hopefully it'll be fruitful. Thank you again for being with us. It is a pleasure to have you here.
It's good to be with you. Thank you so much.
And if you'd like to know more about Congressman Marsha Blackburn and the Browser Act, visit her online at blackburn.house.gov. You can also follow her on social media at Marsha Blackburn.